Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. So today we've got a few articles to check out and read through because we got one from 4Gamer as well as another one from Dengeki. Apparently, it's got some spicy news and information in it. I haven't touched it at all. Unfortunately, after yesterday's video went live, I want to say an hour or two after an hour or two after, I saw a bunch of information pop up about some of these articles. I was like, all right, well, save that for tomorrow's video. Either way, before we jump into that, if you guys are new here, as always, I'm Chrono for PSO2 content. Would much appreciate subscribers work towards that 10K mark, hopefully by the end of this year. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. Yeah, so if I look a little angrier than usual, it's not intentional. I'm recording in the dark. And I'm sleepy, dude. It's early. Oh, Elden Ring is messing up my life. We'll have some more Elden Ring streams. Yesterday was a rough day for me, so if you guys were keeping up with what's going on, I had a pretty rough night, or a pretty rough day at work, so I ended up taking the day off and just kind of chilling and relaxing. Didn't do any boss fight or anything, so in case you guys are following that playthrough, you have not missed a single thing, so don't worry about that. Anyway, so to go over these, is this still loading? Listen, the important information is here. We're going to go over it anyway. So we've got a Dengeki article and we have a 4Gamer article. Sorry, we have a 4Gamer article and we have a Dengeki article. Mix the two of them. What are these ads, dude? Y'all kill me with these ads sometimes, Google. All right, so let's check out I guess the 4Gamer article first. I'm not sure which order we should do this in. Let's see what came out first. 621. 621. They both came out at the same time. I think these were like interviews that were done and like an embargo was released on them or something because they both came out at the exact same time. So that's kind of funny. But anyway, so interview NGS celebrates its 3rd anniversary. We spoke with the series producer Kimura and series director. I'm gonna butcher this. Hamasaki, maybe I said that right. About the past year and new content. So, blah blah blah. Here and after, Richard is NGS. Yes, it's NGS, not NG. Not new gen, NGS. I know people think New Genesis, 2 words, NG. No, I think they really specifically wanted to get away from NG because it's also used very commonly for new game, and they wanted to not, have to be a part of that process. So anyway, NGS received a major update in version 2 at the same time of the second anniversary, which added a highly flexible sandbox creative space and added innovative feature, toon display, or I guess it was like the ability to show your character. They're either talking about showing your characters, they're showing, or the hologram display. I completely changed the texture of the character oh no, it was the I don't remember what it's called. Cell shading, that's what it was. They changed the texture of your characters into an anime style, which became a hot topic. It was sick, dude. I love cell shading in the game. It looks so good. And you can also adjust it. It's actually choice of cell shading. You can have it as intense or as low as you want. Very, very nice. Yo, reader rating. Whew. It's a rough reader rating, dude. This year, a long-awaited new story and new field were released in June, and the in-game card game Line Strike was implemented in July. Will be implemented in July. A new action M.A.R.S is also scheduled to be released at the end of July. Spoilers. Line Strike will be at the beginning, and then M.A.R.S will be at the end. You know that now. In the official program and just headlines broadcast in April, Line Strike was suddenly announced. There are many other exciting new contents for NGS. The milestone of the 3rd anniversary, we interviewed series producer Yuya Kimura and series director, again, hopefully I don't butcher this, is it Daiki Hamasaki, to find out more details. Thank you for joining us today. First off, congratulations on the anniversary. On the 2nd anniversary, a major update called New Genesis version 2 was released. But what are your goals for this, or for the past year? Over the past year, we've been planning and developing updates, content with the goal of adding content that will be enjoyed for a long time, such as creative space and seal quests. In addition, these 2 pieces of content, the battles against Dark Falls Stolas and Dark Falls Dalian, have also been highly praised. So I think we've achieved our goals to a certain extent. Yes, these are actually really good fights. Rewards wise, still need some tweaking. I know some players are a little upset about the most recent Solus rewards. I think that was one of those moments where they probably needed to go and dip a little further into cosmetics. But again, we'll see. I released a seal, the 5th chapter of the story, around April last year. Since all the updates planned at the beginning of the service were completed, at this point we changed update policy from version 2 onwards. Instead of adding new fields and related content in major updates, Once every 6 months, we've been delivering quests and events and campaigns in a shorter span of time, and have been trying to provide updates that offer new fun every week. I think we've achieved that. I mean, it's kind of debatable. They've had a lot of LTQs, basically the way they've done this, and they essentially are kind of changing up the game every so often, like every week or so. It's like a new thing to do. May not always be something you really want to do, or it might be something that's a repeat from beforehand. So this does kind of keep things spicy every week or 2 weeks, sometimes 3, but it just depends. What update has received a particularly good response over the past year? The one that's received the best response, probably the creative space. Even now, a year after its implementation, many people are still playing it. I've also been able to see creative space posts on SNS. Don't know what that is. There are so many high quality ones. And even as a development staff member, I'm amazed by everyone's creativity, saying, wow, they can do this much. It's been almost a year since the release of I'm assuming this is Lucille Exploration, but thanks to multiple updates, the implementation of the all ship matchmaking function, the participation rate of players has been quite high. I think it's great, everyone enjoying the game. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that even though it doesn't always happen this way on global, a lot of people do actually run Lucille still to this day. So I mean, I do my daily Lucille and I still see people in there, so interesting. On the other hand, please tell us about the negative reactions. The initial Lucille quest and Darkfall Solace were some of the negative reactions. I think the strict conditions for participating and the fact that the content distributed was highly difficult were the areas where people were dissatisfied. There were also many complaints about the rewards up until around November last year. I think this is something that needs to be reflected upon. In response to this, we have been working towards revising drop settings for the event Super Genesis Festival, and the rewards that followed have been working towards a solution. So I sort of get this. I don't think it has to do with that. Okay. Maybe this is just my bias, but the participation thing, you should need to gear up to take care of Solace. Lucille, I could sort of get, but I mean, like Lucille, you can still get into with the gear they give you for free. It took very little before to gear up before they gave you free gear, and now they just directly give you free gear. So I don't fully agree with that. I think it's very simple to get in, but the rewards were pretty bad. So that I'm 100% behind. Absolutely. Am I complaints about the rewards at present? We've been checking SNS posts. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Twitter or if this is supposed to be forums. We'll see, or if that's their version of Twitter. It seems that we have been able to improve. This is definitely has improved, yes. Still needs some work though. Are there any requests that current players, are there any requests that are currently being made that you plan to address? We're still considering adding full ship matchmaking function to other quests than the Lucille quest, and easing the equipment strengthening requirement. It's not that difficult to build gear. The biggest issue right now with gearing specifically is the fact that it costs so much money to upgrade things. Removing that money cost is probably the best thing they could do moving forward. There's also some concerns about building some of the more expensive augments. I think it's actually pretty healthy to have expensive augments so players have something to work towards and still make money moving forward. While money is so important, especially when it comes to fashion and gearing. Now, if it's just fashion, I think that's still fine. I think it's still okay for those things to be somewhat expensive. It's rough, but it does mean that you are going to make quite a substantial amount of money off of what you're doing, as opposed to the other way around. So I think it's totally okay. But that's just my opinion of the matter. I know some people have different opinions. It would either be way cheaper all around, but that's to each their own. Let's digress a bit. In December of last year, the Lanagear tier series of weapons distributed, which you could get by meeting the class level requirements. Are there many players who still use it? Recently, many players have replaced it with the Rosarum series or Corvo series, or using the Eon Dikelion series. I'm not sure what any of these are. So I think Rosarum series is probably the replace. So this is the free weapon. I think this is the replacement for the free weapon. I think these two are the Wingard and the Aridum weapons. We'll have to see. Which rewards from the seasonal. Okay, no, this is the seasonal weapon. I don't know what this is. Some people seem to continue using Rajanti because they don't want to spend Maseta in game on equipment. However, I don't think there are many. I think the Legend series, you'd be surprised. I think the whatever this is series does not have enough combat power to play high difficulty quests such as Darkfall Stallion, but it's sufficient enough to a certain extent for playing limited time quests. Everything they give you is sufficient enough to do everything in the game but do the hardest content, in my opinion. Like, you absolutely can, if you take that. Like, you shouldn't take that gear in everything, but it is enough power to take that gear into everything. You're able to do everything. So I would like you to use the distributed equipment from the same series or weapons available at the seasonal point exchange shop immediately after returning to play, or until you have all the equipment. Even the series freaking director is telling you, take the free weapon. I would like you to use the distributed equipment from the same series or weapons available at the seasonal point exchange shop immediately after returning to play, or until you have all the equipment, and update your equipment accordingly to your pace of play. This is what I have been saying this entire time. You decide your upgrade path. Upgrade to what you feel is reasonable. Take advantage of the freebies. Even the series is the director, right? Series director, right? It's the director, isn't it? Hang on, let me look. I lose my mind, dude. Yeah, series director. Series director's like, just get the freaking seasonal weapon and then upgrade to your pace, please. Speaking of creative space, how many players are there who play regularly? A lot. A lot of people use creative spaces. Players who play in the creative space can be divided into 2 types: those who just visit other spaces and who actually edit, or those who other spaces and those who actually edit. Those who only visit other spaces are about 50% of all active players. Also, players who are enthusiastic about editing are about 20% of the total. The activity rate for the content is stable. I feel like it's becoming long-lasting, or I feel that it has become long-lasting content that enthusiastic players can play for a long time. Even though creative space was not my jam, this was a fantastic update to add to the game, and it's something that should be continuously iterated on and built upon in the future moving forward. No questions asked. It's just, even if you don't build stuff, it's just super cool to check out. So, even if you don't check out, it doesn't hurt you that it's there. It actually helps you because it brought about alliance spaces, which helps everyone. So again, solid addition. It's amazing that 20% of the players are still actively creating. Currently, the maximum number of spaces you can have is 6, but have there been any complaints from players that the number is not high enough? Every time a new theme space is added, we add a rental space that can be rented by consuming AC, but it may not be enough for those who want to play, who don't want to pay. If we unconditionally increase the number of spaces, it will lead to server load. So we hope you understand the current restrictions. Oh no, totally understandable. A Japanese theme space was added in this month's update, which was the most popular so far. I'm assuming this is Alio, Redum, or M.A.R.S. I said players choose Alio, so that's a lot. We didn't choose Alio, we were given Alio, and they just didn't change. It's an early theme, and I think it's also because players want to keep what they made at the beginning, usually. It seems that the number of players who choose Redum and M.A.R.S is about the same. Yeah, because you have to pay for it, so it's about even. First, I was shocked, but in the June update, the build part function that allows you to move to another space was added. I was shocked too. We didn't see that coming. Do you have plans to implement anything with a big function related to build parts in the future? This build part allows you to fly from your space to this team space or connected multiple rooms. You can use the space more widely. Actually, I have been wanting to add it since the implementation of Creative Space and was finally able to add it. Did not see this coming at all. We had no idea. As for build parts with special functions, we plan to implement a battle table for playing the card game Line Strike. Sick. We have the players who want to create a space to play Line Strike will hold tournaments that can use it. That's super awesome. We also plan to deliver a venue for playing Line Strike to the official Creative Space. We'd like to continue to update it so that it can be used as a place to play new content. That's super cool. Actually didn't know that's just a solid choice. All right, cool. Earlier we talked about Japanese theme spaces, but will you continue to add themes from other region ones? We'd like to consider it if it's well received after seeing how it's used. The number of build parts has increased considerably for new and returning players. Seems like a lot of time to collect them. Are there any plans to ease the acquisition process? Good change, or good question. Solid question. We don't have any plans for it yet. Genesis points, which are necessary for exchanging build parts, are becoming easier to obtain. And once you have obtained them, they disappear from the list. I don't think it'll be too difficult to understand. However, if you start collecting them now, there may be a lot of them. Yeah, that's totally understandable. Totally get that. All right. It's difficult to implement things like bulk operation of build parts, which seems to be a popular request. We receive many requests for bulk operation build parts. However, as you said, to be honest, it's a bit difficult to implement. Is this difficult to do? Well, like you said, it's difficult to do. Lost in translation, maybe? So, TLDR, it's difficult to implement bulk build parts. Not sure if that's a translation thing or not, but I guess just like buying a bunch of build parts at once probably is what they're referring to. Like all of a specific series having like one cost, so on and so forth. Maybe that's it. And then buying them in bulk being cheaper. Anyway, about the new field, Nameless City. In the 3rd anniversary update, a new field called Nameless City was added. Will this area be expanded upon in the future? I mean, yeah. The Nameless City is divided into 3 sections. Only 2 sections were implemented in the June update. The 3rd section is scheduled to be released in August. Cool. Very nice. About the new action M.A.R.S. or M.A.R.S. Please tell us about this new action M.A.R.S. The Nameless City was an area related to the story, but is M.A.R.S also linked to the story? M.A.R.S is scheduled to be implemented on July 31st. Spoilers. But you won't be able to use it unless you progress through the new chapter of the story. Also spoilers. So funny enough, people were asking they wanted more story sooner. More story sooner. We already have another section of story coming out just a month later. So awesome. Because yeah, I'm pretty sure M.A.R.S is related to the story itself. I'm pretty sure that's the weapon system that they were working on, and that Zephetto left them information to help them finish. So super cool. In the story, they say something like, we're developing in a subtle way, but you can use it even if you don't progress that far. We've set the unlock conditions so that even new players can get in touch with it early, so don't worry. Cool. That seems like they actually are thinking about the new player experience overall with getting access to the new M.A.R.S system, because it might be a little bit of a pain if you have to get as far as we are. And that system can be used earlier for specific things in game. As for how to use M.A.R.S, it'll be an action that is added to the sub palette and activated. My sub palette is already full. Yes, it's implemented as an action that is activated from the sub palette. M.A.R.S can be used by consuming a special gauge. The gauge only fills up over time, so it's easy to understand if you think of it as something similar to a class skill. Okay, so it's just a time-based thing. You can't build it up by attacking or anything. It takes about 9 minutes for the gauge to reach its maximum, but it can be activated when it exceeds 25%. Oh, okay, so you can activate it quicker, but you can also wait and let it build up over time to have it, I guess, available for longer. In reality, I think you'll use it when it exceeds 25% while playing a quest. You can get on and off at any time. So even in a situation like I got on and the target attack disappeared right away, the gauge is designed not to be wasted. Yo, that's awesome. That's really good, actually. Holy shoot. Okay. Why did I censor myself? Holy shit. When you get off M.A.R.S, the gauge stops consuming and starts accumulating again. Yes, it's an action that requires you to switch between accumulating and using. Yes, it is an action that requires you to switch between accumulating and using as appropriate to manage it. Why couldn't I read that sentence? If you fill the gauge to maximum, you can continue to ride it for 2 minutes. It's similar to Dark Blast in is it similar to Dark Blast in PSO2? The damage it deals to enemies is higher than existing classes. This is incorrect. Dark Blast at first was, and then players scaled past it almost immediately. Then it was buffed, and then players scaled past it again, so it was left as a utility skill. It was not damage at all. So just keep that in mind going into this. It may be similar to Dark Blast in terms of how it's used. In addition, it's fine to think that it will basically deal more damage than existing classes. Okay, so it's going to be strong. So it's going to be a bit of power creep. Keep that in mind. However, unlike Dark Blast, M.A.R.S has 4 main weapons and 3 sub-weapons, and you will fight by combining 2 main weapons and 1 sub-weapon. Okay, weapon choice. Kind of sick. Also, while Dark Blast had a set condition for each form, M.A.R.S has a specification that the combo route changes in a complex way depending upon the combination of weapons. Yeah, you basically had 4 different forms. You unlock them over time through the story, and you essentially just you unlock that form. Everyone is exactly the same. Only thing that changed, I believe, was you could like adjust the color of your dark blast, and there's also an option to basically make your dark blast into a stand, where essentially it would be like a aura around you, and you can see through your character, which was super cool. Or you could just be the dark blast in itself completely. So either way is up to you. I enjoyed having the aura. I thought it was pretty dope. So yeah, therefore you'll try to create the maximum synergy. It will require a lot of effort, so I think it'll be finished in a way that will satisfy those who like complex actions and those who want to enjoy exploring combo routes. I think that people are going to absolutely solve this system as they always do. That's just how gaming works nowadays. But it'll be nice to see though that there are multiple weapons that you can use. I hope they are all somewhat balanced. We'll have to see. So something like customization element. As a training element, there's something like a skill tree. As a training element, there's something like a skill tree. You can convert items you get into quests into points and unlock skills. Each weapon has a corresponding skill, so you can strengthen and customize the weapons you use most often. Reallocating points is also easy, just like the current class skill tree. I think you can try different things, see what suits you best to suit the content. Okay, so I have to build it up, essentially. Will the action be quite special? You will fight by switching to special weapons, so it will be completely different from the actions of regular players. It will take some time to get used to, so we have prepared practice quests. Are there any restrictions on the area which M.A.R.S can be used? As long as it's a place where battle occurs, we don't plan to impose any restrictions at this time. It can be used not only in the new field Nameless City, but also existing exploration sectors, battle sections, and quests. So it's going to be in every part of the game. That is going to cause some interesting am I going to call it power creep? It's going to probably be power creep. Yeah, some interesting power creep. Is it okay to use it in the photography area? Okay, yes, you can. It takes time to fill up the gauge though. That's pretty cool. You can take pictures with it. Didn't expect them to say something like that, but that's still pretty dope. I'm looking forward to that. Basically, you can only use the mobile cannon during a quest, right? So it's hard to take pictures. You can take pictures with a mobile cannon in the trigger quest steer, but you're probably thinking, I want to take pictures in an open field. But the action in M.A.R.S is cool, so please enjoy taking pictures. Okay, yeah, that's pretty dope. And M.A.R.S looks cool so far from what I've seen. I'm curious to see what the weapons are going to be. That's a little earlier, but what exactly is the new content in Line Strike that was announced back in April NGS headline? Did he touch on that really? First of all, you look at the illustrations of the cards and you will understand that they are based off of characters of PSO2. The reason that the implementation will be in July of this year, which is the 12th anniversary of the reason is that the implementation will be in July of this year, which is the 12th anniversary of PSO2. So it is positioned as commemorative content to coincide with that. Makes sense. Action system is an independent minigame like the PS2 Casino and was developed with the motif of the quest-based defense. Hold on. As for this system, it's an independent minigame like PS2 Casino and was developed in the motif of the quest-based defense. It is for 2 players and each player has 3 bases. Okay. The rules are simple. You battle using the cards you have, and if you destroy 2 of your opponent's bases, you win. The main battle modes will be rated battles where you compete with other players on the ship, or a rate or unrated battle, so ranked or unranked, where you play random matches without referring to the rate of other players who want to play against you on the ship. Free battles where you can play with your friends and surrounding players. In addition to, you have prepared a mode where you battle NPCs and rotate your deck, so we think you'll enjoy it in various ways. Sounds pretty dope. So we have ranked, unranked, and free battles, and then NPC fights. We also update Line Strike. At the time of implementation, we will distribute a total of 100 cards, but we plan to add new cards after that. The timing will not be regular, but we'll consider it with watching everyone's play. Okay, dope. I like that. How do you start playing Line Strike? For rated battle and unrated battle, select Line Strike from the communication in the main menu and start matching. Do the process of matching with all players on the same ship. You will move to the Alia region at the time of battle, but you can enter anywhere as long as it is an ARC space. Okay, so it'll teleport you to Alia, so you probably want to queue from Alia for the smoothest experience. And it looks like it's ship-based matchmaking, so you are going to be matched with people on the same ship. So no multi-ship as of yet. I'll be getting rewards by playing Line Strike. We've prepared rewards, but you won't get very strong weapons or equipment. When you play each other in battle mode, you can get card scratch support tickets. You collect them and draw card scratches and get rewards. The rewards are cards to be used in Line Strike, so you can enjoy the card play cycle that is completed within Line Strike. such as repeatedly battling, drawing cards, scratch cards, and strengthening your deck. Okay, so you get cards from the RNG boys, let's go. But I mean, like, it feels like a real card game at that point. You're basically buying packs. You're playing games to get money to buy packs, to get more cards, to play more games, to get more money to buy more packs. I dig it. I'm gonna have to grab my water. Duplicate cards can be converted into special recycling badges that can exchange for sleeves and play mats. I think you can express your value a little bit there. That's actually pretty cool. All right. How many cards do you have at the start of the game? The initial state is 15 cards for one deck. All players will have the same number of cards at the beginning. As I mentioned earlier, cards are increased by card scratch tickets, but I think there are people who want to make a start, dash, or want a specific card. So we also prepared two types of card sets, like a starter deck that can be purchased with AC, of course. Support tickets can also be purchased with AC, so you can increase your card pool by using them. Standard premium gaming. Of course, purchasing AC is not required. You can get enough cards by playing the game against other players, so choose one that suits your playstyle. Don't spend your money. You don't have to. You can just straight up play the game, and you're good to go. Though, I'm sure there will be people that will put their AC into this, so I'm sure this makes some people upset. This is, I honestly, if standard course. I would have liked this to be SG instead of AC. For one, SG is actually a better conversion rate in most situations for people if they're going to spend money. And SG is also available to the entire player base. So players who are playing fully free to play can still get SG, and they can still use their SG if they want to. I wouldn't recommend it anyway. I think it'd be a bad choice to spend your SG on it, but it's up to the individual person. And there are people that have a lot more SG than I do. So totally fine. I like to ask this because I think it's something that fans of PS2 series are curious about. Are there any parts that take from Phantasy Star Online 3's episode Card Revolution? Here now I have to refer to PSO episode 3 into consideration. As for the game rules, there is no part that takes PSO episode 3 into consideration. However, in the discussion of should a card game be allowed in NGS or not, it's a no, or it's not a no because there was an episode 3. It was one of the factors for us to use to decide. I see. So because Card Revolution already existed, we can have a card game. This is the TLDR. For those who don't know the PSO era, I think there were some questions about why a card game suddenly appeared. However, there's also conversations between players from old fans saying, I don't know, there was something called PSO2 episode 3 for a long time. Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that this was a thing. It was funny because I talked with Skulls about this, and then I showed this off in her, like, you know, what makes a PSO game a PSO game, showing off how vastly different Phantasy Star games have been over the years as they adapt, basically akin almost to like Final Fantasy games, where they just completely change from game to game for the longest time, unless they're direct sequels. There are many old fans of the series in NGS. The gameplay will be completely different from PSO. Hang on. Oh, he was just commenting. I see. The gameplay will be completely different from PSO episode 3. However, many of the developers of Line Strike played PSO episode 3 at the time. There were opinions like, I want to somehow include at least some elements of PSO episode 3. Therefore, there are sleeves that are based on the back designs of cards from episode 3, and the background music also follows that of episode 3. So episode 3 background music and some card sleeves. I like it. It's really exciting. By the way, PSO2 has a trading card game. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Phantasy Star Online 2 trading card game, here and after referred to as PSO2 TCG. In fact, the card illustrations for Line Strike are the same as those in PSO2 TCG. Some people seem to realize that when they saw the announcement video, instead it was from the TCG. When Line Strike was announced, some people may have thought, were you making Line Strike while you were busy updating the main game? However, as for the development process, we somehow managed to find free time and made it little by little. We didn't draw new card illustrations. We used past ones, so its content didn't take much time. But yeah, they mentioned this. They didn't actually put development time towards this. This has been being worked on over a long period of time. They wanted to add this. Did you start by implementing Line Strike in NGS from the beginning? Not from the very... What is this question? Weird. Not from the very beginning. Shortly before NGS went on sale, we had a rough vision of adding minigame elements with the development team, but we held a competition with the team to decide on a concrete proposal. Minigame elements are important. Among the ideas that came out was the current line strike idea, which also has elements of defensive battle after, while prioritizing updates on the main game of NGS. The development was gradually created by volunteers who liked card games and wanted to try new and different things. Standard. You think about making Line Strike playable as a smartphone app. We're not thinking about that right now. It's difficult because it's not designed to be a separate app. However, I think it's a game that is fun to play and can stand on its own as a single game. So could be its own game, but no designs for it to be a mobile game. As for becoming an app to replace PSO2, yes. People want, yeah. I mean, I kind of want yes too. I want a reason to play PSO on my phone, but that's just me personally. That's not planned at the moment either. By the way, speaking of PSOS, it celebrates its 10th anniversary in May of this year. It's all thanks to the players and everyone who supports it. Thank you. Yes, it's still freaking going. Still a thing. As for ES, is it true that a loyal fan base has been there for a long time? It's very stable. Players may return on anniversaries or when new chips are implemented, but there are no major changes in its active users. In ES, you can only wear PSO2 avatars. There are a certain number of players who draw NGS scratch cards from PS2 ES. Think it also functions as a payment window. Yeah, people use it to purchase things, so makes sense. NPC Gene still has figures, especially swimsuit figures are always available last. Yes, as expected, it's a very popular IP. Yes, it is. So makes perfect sense. You will continue to release content like Line Strike in the future. If you ask me, or will you continue to release content like Line Strike in the future? If you ask me, do you want it, or if you ask me, do you want it or not? I would say I want to do it, but Line Strike has been carefully made over a long period of time, so I can't say for sure. When we started developing Line Strike, we weren't sure if it would actually be completed. I think it was thanks to the hard work of the members that we were able to implement it. So I would like to release new content again. I can't promise anything. You said this project decided in a competition, but did the game system change significantly from the early stages? The proposal was pretty good. We were about 90%, so we made about 90% of it as it was. By the way, it's a design that can only be made as a digital game. But I had the feeling that card games from analog. So, okay, it's saying I had the card games from analog feeling. This is translated, guys, so it's kind of rough. Sorry. Also, I'm bad at reading. So I first made an analog board game with a similar mechanism. Did you go through the trouble making an analog? Maybe why'd you go through the trouble making an analog? I don't know. You can't really tell if a card game is fun or not until you've actually played it. So when I played Line Strike analogically, while supplementing the digital behavior in my head, I had the feeling that it would be fun. I did the initial balance adjustments analogically and then made a sample that would work in game. I tried various things as I made it. The development staff also seemed to be having fun. Okay, about the story about character creation that everyone else is curious about. One of the selling points of NGS is the highly flexible character creation, but it's difficult to increase the makeup slots or lift the accessory cost limit. Oh, might be a good one. It's a fundamental design part, so if we do it, we will break down. It will break down in many places. We have received a lot of requests, but bags can't suddenly become bigger, or rather, okay. At the beginning, we are in a state where we are quite forcing ourselves to raise the cost limit. So it's very difficult to extend this part. Okay. So still no, basically, it's the TLDR. We can't. Personally, I feel there are not many makeup slots. Once you put blush and lipstick, it's already filled up. You can't put anything else on. For example, you can't implement something that combines two implement makeups into one. That's possible, but I think that people want to combine is completely different. It would be good if everyone had the option. I want to combine this. There's something that is clearly a set. It might be okay. So they are still kind of considering it, but not that simple. And yes, 4Gamer, you're absolutely right. 2 slots, blush, lipstick, and then it's already gone. So kind of sucks. If there are many combinations, a combined one may be released. First, we will collect data. However, makeup also has the problem of darkness. When combined, you can't adjust darkness individually, so it's really difficult. It's difficult to increase the cost limit of accessories, but it seems possible to increase the number of slots. We're planning to improve this in an update. Disagree. I think the number of costs matters more than the number of slots, but that's just me. A while ago, NPC character creation data was distributed. However, some characters such as Orange, the operator of Central, have not yet been distributed. Are there any plans to distribute them? Actually, the characters that are not being distributed now are not available due to specifications. They should be not expect to distribute character creation data, so there were inconveniences when trying to prepare the data that could be reproduced. You can reproduce it to a certain extent with character creation, but it's designed so that you cannot reproduce it completely. That's right. If you change the character or you change the data of an NPC so that it can be reproduced with character creation, you'll have to reallocate all the event scenes, so it's difficult to distribute. Yeah, pretty much. As for lobby actions and motions, a collection of arranged versions, such as reverse ones and different versions, were sold in the AC Scratch that was distributed the other day. Do you have any plans to release similar scratches in the future? Solid question, I guess. That makes sense. This time we sold it on a trial basis, thinking, will there be a demand if we release it? The response was greater than expected. People seem to be enjoying playing with it by matching it symmetrically, so we feel like there's a demand. I guess it makes sense. We haven't decided on the next schedule, but we haven't released everything this time, so there's a high possibility that we'll do more in the future. Changing the subject a little. In the creative space, you can display your character using Arc's decoy. In that case, you can only select waiting motion as a pose. But can you assign lobby actions? That could be pretty cool. There are lobby actions that wait in place of those that involve movement. It's difficult to judge and distinguish between them. Waiting motions are simple specifications that can be used, but other than that, it's difficult. So, not really, but sure, I guess. Okay. Solid. I think that'll be I don't know how I feel about that, actually. If there are lobby actions that can be used as, or if there are lobby actions that can be used as lobby actions that cannot be, if there are lobby actions that can be used and lobby actions that cannot be used, I think it would be confusing. So we have undefined, or we've unified them into waiting motions. Okay. In April and May there will be an in April and May there will be an update to celebrate the 3rd anniversary in the summer. It's June? Question mark. I think this dates when this conversation happened. In April and May, there will be an update to celebrate the 3rd anniversary in the summer. New actions will be added and the area will be expanded, but please tell us if there's anything else we can talk about after that. To be honest, there are many things that I can't show you at this stage. We plan to release a roadmap at the end of June. I think we'll talk about a little more there. The new area Nameless City, which will be implemented in August, the new area of Nameless City, which will be implemented in August, is designed to make use of the new action M.A.R.S. So I hope you will first train and then enjoy it up to that point. Okay, cool. Are you planning any offline events outside of the game? We're starting to think about it. However, I think it'll be small scale, not large scale. We're talking about doing something that players can gather together. With any pop-up stores or collaboration cafes, there's nothing specific to announce. As for collaborations outside of game, will the talk come from SEGA? There are a lot of apparel companies collaborating with subcultures these days. Basically, we have an agency in between. PSO2 is often collaborated in this way, but we only contacted 100 Hours Curry, the store operated by M.A.R.S. 100 Hours Curry was difficult because many collaborations ended early. Okay. I went to Canada as soon as it started. Went to Kaniwashi. Okay, I mean, that's nothing really important here. What kind of collaborations are planned for the future in game? Talk about Code Geass. Not much to say. We're planning to have anime related collaborations every month until around September. Okay. When you do a collaboration, do you think fans of that will come in as new players? There are some new players, but if anything, it's mostly dormant players who come back. The collaboration is also about choosing an IP that's likely to appeal to fans of the Phantasy Star series. So the reaction from existing users and dormant users is great. I mean, that's pretty standard. I don't think this is limited to NGS, but there aren't many players who start playing a new game just because it's collaboration with a work they like. However, I think it's good to let people know about it. For example, I think it's valuable for players, or for people who like a certain work that has been collected or collaborated, to know there's a game called NGS while following the information of that work. maybe they want to play the game online in 6 months or a year, they might think of NGS. I think it's very important in terms of spreading awareness. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there have been times where Skulls has picked up a game because of collaborations for games that she likes. Finally, please tell us about your future plans and give us a message to the players. Thanks to the support of our players, NGS has been able to celebrate its 3rd anniversary. Thank you very much. In July, PSO2 celebrates its 12th anniversary. I'm very happy you've been playing for such a long time. 3 years and 12 years. 3 years at NGS, 12 years at base PSO2. I've been involved with the development of PSO2 since the early days, so I feel very emotional. We plan to continue to distribute such content as Line Strike in the addition of new actions. So I hope you will look forward to it. We will continue to develop NGS towards its 1st anniversary, so please continue to support us. Solid. I think I've said almost everything I wanted to say. However, I'm very happy that NGS is celebrating its 3rd anniversary and PSO2 is celebrating its 12th anniversary. As Mr. Hamazaki said, it is really thanks to all of you who play in the future. All of you who play in the future. We the development and the management teams will continue to work together to make NGS easier and fun, and more fun to play. I think the most important things for online games is to continue service for as long as possible. So I started PSO2 saying we'll do it for 10 years, but before we knew it's already been 12. I had to continue for a long time to do my best to lead, or I'd like to continue for a long time and do my best to leave a place for players, a place where players can gather. So I hope you'll continue to support us. Thank you for today. That is a lot of reading, and I'm very bad at reading. We've gone through all of it from start to finish. It has a lot of great information. Now, give me just a quick second while I skim the other article and see if there's anything different in that article versus what we just read, because I don't know if I want to read another article for another 40 minutes. All right, I've decided that I'm just going to pull this from Discord, and it has some of the more important key points that I've seen. So I'm going to go ahead and go through them here really quick with you guys. We would be here for like over an hour if I read through that entire article. I skimmed through it. It has some important stuff, but it wasn't anything too crazy. So shout out to Ash_AX on over on Reddit, and shout out to Ace for posting it over in the Discord. If you guys aren't in the Discord, you should join the Discord. Super awesome. Either way, let's go ahead and grab the post or the notes that I thought were important here. So cool thing, a few things is they were in the consideration phase and are looking into all ship matchmaking for more quests and the relaxation of equipment enhancement and meseta costs. Or this is like and meseta cost question marks. Not sure if that's where they're looking at, but we'll have to see. 3rd nameless city exploration sector. Yeah, we already talked about that. We talked about this. So I guess there's more context will be available to use early after clearing chapter 1 Alio. Interesting. We already talked about this. We talked about that stuff there. We talked about most of these things here. We've talked about this already. Moving on, new training quest, probably a Trainia. Launching with, we covered those. There is some that has a foil version, total 200 cards if you also count the foils. We didn't hear about that, so that's interesting. Then there's 2 AC purchasable starter decks, it looks like. Okay. There were a few other things. There was something very specific. Oh yeah, here we go. Other stuff, new classes or weapon types. We are considering it, but there is nothing I can announce at present. All we can say is that we're considering it. The way this is worded is very interesting. So we're considering it normally means we're working on like what we're going to do, right? Like we're in the planning stages of what that's going to be, and we can't announce what that actual weapon is going to be. So that's basically new class is probably in the works. They just don't know what that new class is going to be. So in the works is a little bit ahead of myself. But essentially what they're doing is if you can't talk about it, that means that you're still working on it. And you can't talk about it because you have nothing to confirm is the TLDR of those. So I would expect a new class. I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, essentially is what I'm trying to say. Moving on. And I've said this for a long time. This is very, very common, but funny enough, the global version has a higher ratio of new players to active players. So it could be that they have to choose. Oh, this is the cell shading thing. Never mind. Global players are more polarized towards jackpot rarity weapon series. Japanese players are more active in participating in quests and farming rare items. This is pretty standard, actually. I've played on the JP servers as well on the global servers, and played on JP ships as well as global ships. And it's pretty common that global players tend to really dislike the jackpot rarity of something dropping and being worth a whole bunch, and then like basically the higher the lower percentage costs, bigger jackpot items. But that's not something that's shared by the JP community. It's actually pretty common for them to enjoy it more and to farm more actively, because that's the carrot at the end of the stick. So JP players tend to farm more because of that, and global players tend to farm less because of that. So interesting little tidbit I wanted to include. Let's see. I talk about cell shading, and I believe that was it. Yeah, those are all the important things pretty much I wanted to include from the article that we took a look at. And that's all I've got for you guys today. If there's anything else that I missed, feel free to toss in the comments below. When I read through the first article, I didn't realize it was going to be as long as it was, but again, I didn't want to keep you guys here for like an hour reading through the article itself. If you want a concise breakdown of everything, I'm pretty sure Caro's got a video up on it where he went over some of the specifics in a shorter version, but I wanted to read through an entire article with you guys today just to kind of get my reactionary thoughts and reactionary reactions. It's too early, man. I haven't had my coffee. I'm still terrible at outros, but do all the cool YouTube things. It helps me out a ton, and I will see you guys next time. Take care, my friends. Oh yeah, join Discord. I want to see your faces in Discord. Join Discord. Okay, goodbye.